Last year, on June 27th, I got my period. 3 weeks later, when it didn't stop, I went to the doctor feeling scared, anxious, and confused. I had a transvaginal ultrasound performed, which showed multiple small bilateral ovarian follicles and mild prominence in my right ovary, raising the possibility of polycystic ovarian syndrome, a hormonal disorder that causes menstrual irregularity and a whole host of other symptoms. With no other solutions to be found, I hoped homeopathy would work, and watched my flow fluctuate and feel never-ending. More than 2 months later, on September 1st, my period ended. I should have thrown a huge fucking party to celebrate. If you didn't understand the more complicated words I just said, believe me, I was just as lost. I'd been menstruating for over 10 years, and I didn't feel confident at all about navigating this lonely, confusing, new menstrual experience. I was left with a lot of questions. Most glaringly, why didn't I feel confident? Was I alone in this? My name is Srinivas, and today I will be talking about periods. You might notice on the screen behind me is the word menstruators. It describes everyone who menstruates. This community of over 2 billion people globally menstruate on any given day. But when I came across this word in my research, I actually found out it didn't even exist in the dictionary. Throughout the rest of my presentation, I will be using menstruators, because not all people who menstruate are women, and not all women menstruate. First of all, though, what is a period? When the body menstruates, the uterus discards its monthly buildup of lining. The lining takes the form of menstrual blood and tissue, which flows out through the cervix and then vagina. You might already be thinking, ew, gross, or why are we talking about this? And that's okay. During a conversational workshop with menstruators in my community, we started to break down unconscious words we had learned about menstruation. Words like dirty, embarrassing, and shameful came up as we were sharing personal stories and playing pad bingo. One participant said, where I'm from, it's seen as a time when you're not supposed to touch certain things, because you're going to make that thing impure. It's also what people preach, and it just keeps going from there. She brought up the elephant in the room, menstrual stigma. Both the language and communities using it create a culture, an unfortunately stigmatized one. My participants also mapped their menstrual confidants. We discussed the qualities that make these people their trustworthy listeners, and how these conversations made them feel. It became clear that the more conversations they had, the more confident they felt. So I wondered, where do we need more menstrual confidence? As I talked to experts in the field, I learned that about an uncountable amount of unique challenges, needs, and experiences menstruators face. One of the experts, Anmol Sharma, a master's graduate in global public health, said something that solidified my argument for practicing menstrual confidence as something profoundly necessary. Everyone deserves to have a dignified menstrual experience. Do they feel confident that their environment promotes one? We might think this problem only exists in historically marginalized countries, but no, it exists here too. From pre-menses through to post-menopause, a menstruator faces a variety of new experiences that they should be able to confidently navigate. Unfortunately, many of the menstruators are interviewed expressed otherwise. When recalling the first few months of her period, this 44-year-old menstruator described them as traumatizing. She even went as far as to hiding it from her mom and stealing pads from her cabinet because they had never had that conversation before. Moving along the menstrual life cycle to young adulthood, a 25-year-old menstruator described a life-changing event. I was ignoring my body for months. Turns out I had a massive tumor on my ovary. I'm of the mind that if you feel like something is off, it's probably off. Even at the end of the menstrual life cycle, a 53-year-old menstruator shared, menopause sucks. Like, it really sucks. It came on with a whole other set of health problems, and I didn't understand what was going on with my body. It turns out confidence builders are needed across the menstrual life cycle, as menstruators are constantly facing new challenges, and conversations can be a great deterrent from forming long-lasting negative associations. So how do we practice menstrual confidence through conversations? I propose we can do so through 4 different typologies: literacy, humor, celebration, and love languages. Let's start with literacy, because literacy is the core of a conversation. Founder of the evidence-based nonprofit Menstrual Matters, Dr. Sally King describes her theory of change. Once we have education, then maybe we can have conversations about healthy menstrual physiology. This shouldn't be a political issue. It's normal. As the lack of standardized education about menstruation continues, discussions on periods can reproduce old myths and lead menstruators down a confusing path of trying to navigate social media and other medical advice. So how might we motivate menstruators to navigate their experience with a variety of second opinions to confidently take action? This question led me to design Clot, your best AI menstrual buddy. Clot is a chatbot that allows menstruators of all ages to ask burning questions, receive answers in the voice of their chosen conversation partner, and share their learnings to get human second opinions. In this scenario, Isa is a 14-year-old curious about tampons. She wants to chat with an 18-year-old menstruator because her friends say that older sisters are super helpful when it comes to these kinds of things. Because she doesn't have one, Clot is her next best option to ask about tampons, especially if she can go swimming. The answer is yes, by the way. After she asked all her questions, Clot nudges her to share this conversation with a friend, to ask them what they think. The more inputs, the better. For menstruators located in areas where reproductive information is sensitive, these chats can be made anonymously and subsequently deleted. The goal is for all menstruators to have a quick answer to "I don't know, who do I ask?" Clot is just the first answer along that journey. After chatting to Clot, menstruators are encouraged to chat with other humans. Imagine talking about periods with your family and friends. The potentially awkward pauses, the confused looks, uncomfortable silences. What if we could use humor as a tool to confidently approach period talks with family and friends? Maybe Menstrual Mayhem can give you a little bit of help.
It's time for Menstrual Mayhem. It's revised charades with period prompts that will have you crying with laughter. You never know when laughter will attack.
How do you pretend? Look over here.
It's act after act that will leave you in stitches until somebody yells, "Mayhem!" It's Menstrual Mayhem, the game.
Menstrual Mayhem is an interactive party game with hilarious period-themed charades prompts to play with family and friends. Each card deck contains different categories, like general symptoms, first period, menopause, and period products. The game is played by splitting into teams, where each team plays simultaneous rounds of charades, trying to gather the most correct answers for points. After each round, the funniest enactments are shown to the group. The goal is to act, laugh, and let the chaos ensue. But wouldn't it be a shame to have a party game and no party? Have you ever heard of a period party? Historically, this is a celebration held to honor a rite of passage, but in this context, it's a moment of care, celebrating a menstruator's unique trials and tribulations, no matter where they are in the menstrual life cycle. One of my interviewees mentioned that the ritual already existed in her daughter's friend group. My daughter is the last of her friends at school to get her period. All of her friends have had period parties, and she's wondering when she'll be able to have hers. As menstruators have conversations with people in their broader community, can we adopt a new menstrual ritual, period parties, to make those conversations more accessible? I, for one, want to go back in time and throw myself a period party for surviving my 2-month period. With that in mind, I founded Blood Sugar for any time of the month. Blood Sugar is a cake and bake shop all about baking menstrual confidence into every cake for the period party of your dreams. But why a celebration? Celebrations are ritualistic and historically represent moments of care within a community. Think birthday parties, coming-of-age parties, etc. They also allow for new kinds of celebrations to be easily accepted or adopted in communities of any age or experience. Blood Sugar held its inaugural launch party in an effort to create and disseminate a period party recipe that partygoers and viewers alike can steal, adjust, and tailor to their taste. The party's agenda included 3 cake tastings: the seed, reflecting on early menstruation, the flower, reflecting on menstruation as an adult, and the fruit, reflecting on menopause and relationships with elder menstruators. The physical design transformed the idea of traditional menstrual-related aesthetics, using cake-stained bedsheets, cloudy-looking jam, cut fruits, and melted red candles to remind of the physical experience of menstruation. Creating richer and more nuanced documentation of menstrual experiences can help shift the mental models and words we associate with menstruation on a regular basis, and in turn, incorporate a new ritual into our everyday lives. Speaking of rituals, when was the last time you sat with a family member or partner and checked on their menstrual experience? After speaking with many non-menstruators in my community, one said something that hadn't clicked before. There needs to be an easier, more straightforward way to support the menstruators in my life. The role of allies can be essential to one's menstrual experience. Maybe some of you in the audience are curious about how you can tangibly support the menstruators in your lives. What if we reframe an ally and a menstruator to a sidekick and a hero? Does that get you a little excited? Code Red. We've cracked the code so you don't have to. Code Red is a paired digital experience for a menstruator's community members or sidekicks to support them by completing actionable, tailored, tangible quests. Code Red brings heroes and sidekicks together to complete missions of menstrual care and confidence, tailored using our very own menstrual love language quiz. By aligning love languages and piggybacking off of a hero's health tracking apps, Code Red will send sidekick missions based on their hero's needs, preferences, and mood. To show you how the paired experience works, let's say we have a pair of romantic long-distance partners, Marlo and Nima. Marlo comes across the Code Red website, creates his hero portal. He invites Nima to match with him and adds their type of relationship and their distance. These two factors will help Code Red send tailored, achievable quests to Marlo. Once Nima accepts the invite, she will give Code Red permission to track her Apple Watch inputs. To finish pairing, both parties will take their love language quiz and download the Code Red app. Marlo will receive quests by notification. Once in the app, his dashboard will show previous and current quests. He will chat with Code Red to choose his quest, give feedback, and log his progress along the way. Post-quest, both Marlo and Nima can log feedback so Code Red can recommend better quests next time, and aggregate a more comprehensive FAQ on each love language type. Each menstrual experience is unique, so it can be difficult for a sidekick to find ways to care for the various heroes in their lives, a partner, a sister, a mother, etc. Code Red takes out the guesswork for the sidekick. Using a gamified digital experience, this allows for both heroes and sidekicks to have fun while practicing their menstrual confidence as a team. I leave these proposals with you and ask you to have the conversations and ask the questions you haven't before. There are people in this world that will benefit from your curiosity, bringing us one step closer to an inclusively designed society. I hope this presentation provided you with a little more vocabulary than what you came here with, as through doing this work, finding the words helped me process my own menstrual journey, and I wish the same for all the heroes in the audience as well. Thank you to my family, cohort, my big sis, and everyone else who stopped to have a conversation with me along the way. Let's continue to talk periods.
I'm so excited that you ended with taxonomy, because the first item on your continuum was literacy.
Yes.
And you have increased our literacy, but also your facility with word, blood sugar, clot, sidekick, menstrual confidence overall. Again, I think that you've coined so much language, it may be like part of the most valuable part. So we should get into a little bit of the blood sugar party, because you had to cut that a little short for this presentation, because there was quite a bit of stuff.
Yes. So in terms of planning the event, my partner Charvi and I really wanted to, again, kind of change the idea of traditional menstrual aesthetics. So we had a couple of different mood boards, including themes like elevated affair, galentines, spring, bringing in this idea of blossoming girlhood, and also just elevating this idea of menstruation, which generally in social media and movies can be portrayed as more of a dirty, shameful thing. And yeah, we kind of brought that to life using a lot of the physical design, like the sheets and the jam and everything. And it was really a blast. Everyone who came really enjoyed the aesthetics of the event for sure.
Yeah, and still married with this notion of moments of care, which is a contemporary and wonderful way of framing design and design offerings. One last thing, there was an ethical question around, or you had some ethical dilemma around the AI chatbot. Just 30 seconds on that?
Yeah, so we actually had a guest lecturer come to the program, Pau Garcia from Domestic Data Streamers, and he really changed my outlook on the ethics of designing an AI app that would be kind of collecting sensitive information from this community where that has been used against them before historically. And so it really added a layer of complexity to the work. I tried to answer that question by allowing the chats to be deleted or anonymous. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a great answer still as a designer trying to put work in the world, but it added a layer of complexity that I think was needed.
I think it's good. It's these are the questions of our day. I also love the idea of sharing this chat with someone who might be able to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.